Hey there, Dr. Steve here. We had an absolutely amazing exclusive Q&A with the one and only Sebastian Gorka that we want to share a bit with you. Seb got online and spoke live to our Insiders Club members and shared with them his firsthand insights into the future of the MAGA movement and the GOP and strategies that we can all employ to make sure that the best days for faith, family, and freedom are yet to come. It was really wonderful. He was live, and so our Insiders Club members got to ask him their questions, and it was an absolute treat to have direct access to this amazing patriot. So here are some highlights from that interview as our gift to you. I hope you enjoy it. You gave a really riveting backstory about your father and his personal experience with Marxism in Hungary. And I remember you telling us that as a boy, you asked about the marks on your dad's wrists.
Yeah.
I've never forgotten that. It was very powerful. Could you just give us a little bit of a précis of your father's experience with Marxism and how it left such a indelible impression on you?
Yeah, I've actually written 3 books, and every single one of them. The only, I write about all kinds of topics, my time in the White House, my work in the counterterrorism field, but I always have a chapter on my parents and their experience under communism and fascism. And that's the only thing people want to talk about when they see me. And I understand why, because it resonates clearly as it resonated with you. I even opened my show today. I'm so angry with the evil I see happening at the southern border. I opened my radio show today with exactly the story of how my parents escaped as real refugees from communism. So in a nutshell, you can read it in The War for America's Soul or my other 2 books. So my parents were children under a fascist occupation of Hungary, Central Europe. Then the fascism was replaced with communism, as it was all through the region. And my father, at the age of 18 in 1948, said, I'm going to resist. I got to, this is wrong. At Yalta, we were promised freedom. Churchill said Central Europe would be free. We were betrayed. And now the Soviet Union, the Hungarian communists have taken over. So he resisted, not with a gun or a bomb, because he knew that wasn't going to work. But he created a small secret Catholic students organization, an underground organization in college, to spy on the Soviets, how they were stealing America, the wealth of Hungary, shipping it back to the Soviet Union, and to smuggle that information out to the West, to some democratic country that could use it. They succeeded. Their courier established contact with MI6, the British equivalent of the CIA. And for 6 months, they were smuggling out this information on what the Soviets were doing to destroy democracy in Hungary. Sadly, those reports went up the train at MI6 in London all the way to a guy called Kim Philby. And if you know your Cold War history, Kim Philby was one of 5 of the most heinous traitors of the West during the Cold War, the so-called Cambridge Apostles. And Philby ran my father's secret students organization until he could identify every single one of them, blew them to the KGB in Moscow, who told the Hungarian secret police. And then my dad is arrested, age 20, tortured by the secret police, and given a life sentence and thrown into a political jail. 2 years in solitary, not 2 months, not 2 weeks, 2 years in solitary without going insane. Then he wants to eat meat. And the only way you get meat is if you volunteer to work in the prison coal mine. He spent 2 years with no machinery and no dynamite, just pickaxes and chisels down a coal mine in Hungary, eventually ending up in the main political prison outside Budapest, where in 1956, thanks to some student patriots and some workers from the factory who'd had enough of communism, he was liberated from that prison by the freedom fighters who captured the Soviet tank. And then with the, how old was she? 17-year-old daughter of a fellow political prisoner who was in prison for the crime of, you'll love this, being a leader of the YMCA. That's why he was in prison. That elder gentleman said to my dad in prison, if you ever get out, will you take my daughters out of the country? My father thought, sure, George, because he thought he was going to die in prison. He's liberated, finds out a few weeks later, as the revolution is crushed, he's on a shoot to kill list. A relative of his is a typist in the Ministry of the Interior, sees his name on a shoot to kill list, which means if he's captured, he's not going back to prison. He's going to be shot in the head and kicked into the gutter. So he says to his widowed mother, I've got no choice. I love the land of my birth. I've got to leave. But he remembers that promise that George looks him up in the Budapest phone book. You remember phone books? And then he finds the address, walks across Budapest on a cold November night, knocks on the door. George is there. He's escaped from prison as well. He said, I'm leaving now. Where are your daughters? 17-year-old Susan, 15-year-old Elizabeth. Go with my father. Elizabeth has polio. It's cold. She has to go back. Right. And then the 17-year-old Susan, the 26-year-old Paul, under a train carriage, make their way all the way to the Austrian border, give their last cent and his father's gold fob watch to the local peasant, the local farmer who knew the route through the minefield. They make it through, they trip a flare at the end. The border guards don't find them. They end up in a refugee camp and are finally, after 6 weeks of interrogation by the counterintelligence guys, they make it out. He didn't know he'd been betrayed from the UK. He had no idea why he was arrested. So they say, Australia, Canada, America, and the UK are accepting refugees. Where do you want to go? He says UK. They end up in the UK. They get married. That's my mother and father. And just to, wrap it all up in a bow, and sorry for the long introduction, my life, you can sometimes feel, you can see those moments in time when your life changes. And for me, it was that moment you heard in Delaware. I was on vacation in France with my family. I was about 7 or 8 years old, and I'm playing on the beach, sitting in the sand with my GI Joes or whatever. And my dad was a bear of a man. He'd been on the national crew team before he was arrested. Was very physical, loved to swim in the ocean. And he comes out of the sea, and I'm playing on the sand like a innocent little child. And I look at my dad, and I see something I'd never realized before. And in classic naive fashion, I say, "Hey, Dad, what are those lines, those white lines on your wrists?" Because he was too old, he was too young to be wrinkled, without missing a beat, with zero emotion in his voice. My father says, "Son, that's where the secret police bound my wrists together with wire behind my back so they could hang me from the ceiling of the torture chamber." That's when everything changed for me, Dr. Turley. My life parted. There was a fork in the road. And then I realized evil is real. It exists in the heart of men. And it will always come back unless good men stop it. And communism, of all of the evils, is the deadliest, having taken 100 million souls in the last year. So after that, I grew up. I got my first degree in the London University. The fall of the Berlin Wall happens. Because I spoke Hungarian and I'd served in the British Army Reserves, I got a job in the first freely elected conservative post-communist government in Hungary, served in the defense ministry, met my beautiful American wife, was asked to teach on a counterterrorism course for the Defense Department of America out of a German base called Garmisch-Partenkirchen by an amazing Marine called Nick Pratt. And eventually that opened some doors for me. I ended up as an immigrant, a legal immigrant to the United States, as a DOD civilian teaching irregular warfare at National Defense University here in DC at Fort McNair. And then I wrote a book called Defeating Jihad that got me the attention of a guy called Donald Trump. And he hired me to help him prepare for the campaign when he had a big GOP debate in the fall of 15 on national security. I wrote some papers for him, and then I ended up only in America. I'm sorry, only in America. I ended up as deputy assistant to the president for strategy in the White House as an immigrant. And now I have a national radio show. So this is why we are the greatest nation on God's earth, my friend.
Oh, wow, what an interview. And there's just so much more. If you want to hear more of this Q&A, as well as actually becoming a live participant in asking your very own questions to the movers and shakers of the conservative movement all over the world, then you need to join our Insiders Club by simply clicking on the link below. Every week, you're going to have special access to some of your favorite conservatives across the globe, and you're going to love interacting daily with thousands of your fellow conservatives on our group chat and posting platforms. So make sure to click on that link below and join our Insiders Club and get your backstage pass to the worldwide conservative movement.